Chuck Schumer's remark that Senator Maria Kennedy was out of touch ignited a political firestorm that no one expected, but the real story unfolded far from the cameras, deep in a struggling Pennsylvania community clinic where Kennedy had quietly spent 6 days witnessing firsthand the human cost of Washington's inaction, sitting beside exhausted nurses, sorting medication in cramped storage rooms, and listening to uninsured patients who were rationing insulin, skipping treatments, and choosing between medicine and rent, all while the media interpreted her absence as neglect and colleagues whispered that she was avoiding responsibility. Yet Kennedy remained focused on the people in front of her, her childhood friend Elaine Early's desperately trying to keep the clinic open, an elderly co-worker whispering that they felt forgotten, and a young single mother breaking down as she described the fear of losing her only source of care. Moments that weighed heavily on Kennedy as she returned to Washington carrying stories no spreadsheet or Senate briefing could capture, and when she stepped into the packed chamber she felt the tension thick in the air, reporters leaning in, Schumer watching sternly as she approached the podium, her hands trembling with the emotional gravity of what she had seen. And with the steady but raw voice she began by acknowledging the criticism, saying she had indeed been called out of touch, but that if spending a week with Americans whose realities rarely reach Capitol Hill made her out of touch, then perhaps Washington needed more leaders willing to step outside its walls. She described the shuddering clinic, the families terrified of losing access to basic care, the staff stretched beyond human limits, and as she spoke without notes, her words carried an authenticity that stilled the room, her vulnerability cutting through years of political posturing, and for the first time in months, senators who had treated the bill as a bargaining chip suddenly saw it as a lifeline, leading to a vote that passed by wider margin than expected, sending relief to clinics across the country. Afterward, in a quieter hallway free of cameras, Schumer approached her with a softened expression, admitting he had misjudged her and acknowledging that she had been doing the work many only talked about, and Kennedy simply nodded, urging that they focus on ensuring no community feels forgotten again, a moment that symbolized something rare: humility, accountability, and a shared recognition that leadership rooted in empathy can change not only a vote but a national mood. The public, once skeptical, responded with renewed faith as Kennedy's story spread. Volunteers signed up to support community health centers, commentators praised her integrity, and people who often felt ignored by political narratives felt seen, understanding that real leadership isn't performed on social media or perfected for televised debates but lived quietly in spaces where no applause is heard. And as the story rippled across the country, it left a powerful message, that amidst cynicism and partisan noise, compassion still has the power to shift outcomes, and that sometimes, the leaders who make the greatest difference are the ones who disappear from the spotlight long enough to listen, carry real stories back into the halls of power, and speak with the conviction shaped not by polling but by people whose lives are changed or saved by the decisions made there, proving that being out of touch can sometimes mean being more connected to the country than the politics that claim to represent it.